Most people and psychologists will tell you that you want to integrate the shadow self into your personality. However, that is energetically impossible, and here's why. I'm going to reveal to you what no one on the internet will tell you about doing shadow work coming up. Shadow work was first coined by the famous psychologist named Carl Jung, who also coined the term shadow self and the unconscious or collective unconscious mind, which these two are very entwined, which I'll talk about at the end of the video. Essentially, the shadow self is a part of our nature that we don't want to acknowledge or have a conscious awareness of, and so we subconsciously repress it. And this can lock our energy in many ways and create a lot of harm for ourselves and for people around us. Essentially, the shadow self is a part of us that we don't want to have any conscious awareness of. You see, our shadow self protects our inner self, the part of us, or what Carl Jung calls the persona, how we see ourselves and how we present ourselves to the world. So the shadow self is really trying to protect us. However, it lacks an enormous amount of energy that we could be using for other things. The shadow work is something that we should all be wanting to do, especially when you want to consciously evolve yourself as a human being, as a spiritual being, especially if you want to have more fulfilled life and healthy relationships. Now, I totally agree with what everyone is saying about shadow work and how to do it as well, which I'll cover many ways to do it at the end of the video. But now I'm going to talk about something that I discovered my own, that no one will ever tell you about shadow work, and it's this. Most people and psychologists will tell you that you want to integrate the shadow self into your personality. However, that is energetically impossible, and here's why. The shadow self is just that, a shadow. It's an illusion. It's an appearance. It's not a real part of you. It has nothing to do with you or anyone in your life. Carl Jung also connected the shadow with the unconscious mind, meaning the collective mass unconsciousness of our world, right? We're born into. We all have different archetypes, different stories. Every single person in culture can relate to and can connect on a very deep psychological subconscious level. So shadow work is really about you releasing the energy, the emotional energy behind the shadow, behind the pattern, behind the habits, traits, and characteristics that you don't want to acknowledge. Shadow work is ultimately bringing the unconscious to consciousness, bringing the shadow into light. And what happens to shadows when it comes into light? It vanishes, it disappears, it disperses. There's no way that you can truly integrate a shadow self. And so what you want to do is you want to look at it and transmute the energy behind it. The energy behind it, the emotion behind it, is what you will integrate back into your true self. So you truly are calling back all your energy every single time you work with the shadow self and revealing it into the light of consciousness. And so doing this process, you become a more whole person, actually more holy, right? Because you're becoming more and more your higher self. But the danger in this is that it's making the mistake of integrating your shadow self and thinking that I'm going to integrate this part of me and use this dark side of me to my advantage and to empower my ego in order to get what I want in life or get this or get that. You know, it's still going to cause some sort of damage to yourself and to others, and you do not want that. You don't want to identify with the shadow self. That's what I've been downloading from my guides. You want to reveal it into the light of consciousness, which is truly your higher self. Your higher self is what is actually going to integrate the energy behind these shadows, these illusions within ourselves. These illusions are not caused by you. They're caused by the collective unconscious mind that permeates all of humanity since the beginning of time. So just to kind of simplify here, the shadow self is not you. It's not a part of you. It's a reaction that you've had that created a pattern within ourselves and within you and within everyone around us. And so these patterns play themselves out. So we act them out. We identify with these patterns, these shadow self. That is not who we really are. So the goal of shadow work is really to behold these patterns, be a witness to them, observe them without any judgment, accept them, and integrate the energy behind it. The energy that was tied up into this false identity. And so you're integrating the energy, not the shadow self. And so you're not making a bad habit or trait or pattern into a good one. You're just transmuting it and you're calling back that energy that was tied out into that shadow self, false sense of self. It's an illusion. It's not real. However, the process of shadow work, I totally agree with. Accepting it, loving it. Another insight that I received from my guides is that not everyone is ready to fully integrate that energy from their shadow. Because depending on your level of consciousness, when you fully integrate the shadow self, or i.e. the energy behind it, you will have no emotions when you think about it. Or especially if you see it in another person that is acting that shadow self, that identity, you will understand fully, you will feel compassion for the person and yourself. That's when you know you've integrated the energy fully. So just to recap all that, so shadow work is ultimately tuning work. It's becoming more whole, more integrated into your higher self. That is the true purpose of shadow work. It's not just to feel better about something that you feel bad for. It's about you becoming your higher self, or some level of it, some state of consciousness in which the higher self begins to express through you. And this is something that a lot of psychologists and a lot of people who do shadow work leave out. So how do I know about all this? Because I've been doing shadow work for most of my life. I'm a very self-reflective person. I'm constantly journaling, constantly writing my dreams, constantly asking myself questions, especially if you do any type of divination work like tarot cards. Tarot is a great way to really see your pattern. So one of the best ways to begin doing shadow work is journaling. Journaling is a really safe way for you to feel comfortable writing things down, talking about your day, and asking yourself questions, and based on all the reactions you've had and how you feel. So most people who want to do shadow work, keeping a journal of your day, of how you reacted, is the best way to begin looking and seeing your shadow self appearing throughout your day. Remember, this false sense of self, it's not you. It really helps you realize that there's no judgment. You're not looking at it and judging and condemning. You're looking at it with compassion. And that's the best way to approach all this. Writing down your reactions, your feelings, your emotions. That's the way to see your patterns. Another way is to meditate. When you meditate, you face all the shadows in your life. Doing this is actually honestly one of the most bravest way of facing your shadow, because you're gonna come up against all your resistance. That's another key here, is to not resist your shadow self when it comes up. Because the more you resist it, the more you fight it, the more bigger it gets. The more overwhelming it becomes to you. And so the more emotional you become, the more upset. Don't resist it. It's not real. It's an illusion. It's not really who you are. Although you just identify with it because of a specific incident or person or place or thing in your life. You basically observe all the contents that's in your mind. I'm going to do a whole video on how to begin to meditate, because I know this is really powerful tool and a really good topic to cover on this channel. So yeah, I'm definitely gonna film that video very soon, so stay tuned for that. And then One of the really fun ways to observe your shadow is through dream interpretation. And in my Psychic Development Level 1 classes and coaching, I help you to do this. I help you to find ways to interpret your dreams. We cover that in Level 1 class. And it's so much fun. You get a ton of information. Not just about your shadow self, but about your higher self messages for you. That's gonna help you approach the shadow self. You see, we're not alone. We have a ton of guidance. And that's how you want to approach any shadow work, any inner work, is with support. So I definitely encourage you to either take my class or contact another person who has done shadow work, or even a psychologist or professional that can kind of guide you if you want to go that deep into the psychology aspect. I cover the psychology, but also the energy, the psychic aspect of shadow work. Shadow work is something that you'll be doing your whole life. It's not one and done. Oh, I did shadow work. That's it. The same way with healing. Healing is something that you're constantly doing on yourself.